Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of Tips Over Tea and Chat with Nikki, where we talk about all things wellness outside the box. I am Nicole, your host. This week, we had the great pleasure of speaking with Melissa. If you are an executive or a business owner who tends to get burned out because you try to do everything yourself, this episode is for you. So go grab your tea and tune in.
And we're live. I say that every time. I don't know why. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of Tips Over Tea. I'm excited to invite Melissa on board today. Melissa, thank you so much for joining me here. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I have my tea. I'm debuting a new lipstick today, and so I'm excited.
I love it. So you founded a very important organization that saves people a lot of stress. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and what brought you to this organization, to creating this amazing organization?
Yes. So the Association of Virtual Assistants was, I guess, 5 or 6 years in the making. So when I became a virtual assistant, I was looking all over for resources. How do I do this? What happens when this happens? Like, who can I share this with? Can I ask a question? Has anyone seen this before? And there wasn't a place where I could really find that. And there were some good groups around, and I was part of a lot of groups. But the problem with that is I also was like, well, anyone could be part of these groups because they're free. There's no, you don't know how vested this person is in their business, and yet they're going to give you advice. Is it good or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, I really wanted to share my successes with someone that could understand and celebrate with me. So I would be on these boards for other groups or other associations, and I was always like the celebration champion. And people would tell me all the time, it's so nice to be able to share this with someone who gets it. Like my family, my friends, my partner, whatever, they love me. They're cheering me on, but they don't get it. And so that was another reason I wanted to create the AVA, was to have a place where when you celebrate something, you have people who are like, I get it. I was there. I've been there. I'm in the moment right now. Thank you for inspiring me. And I was, starting my own VA business, and one of the most common questions I had, or the most common question that clients had, is where do I find the right VA? And the most common question that VAs have at every stage of their career is, where do I find the right client, my ideal client? And I thought, why are two people who are so committed to meeting one another, why can't they meet? And that's really what started my matchmaking business. And then, the AVA was just in my head. And for years, I would just look, and I still have it on my vision board. When is this going to happen? When can I do this? When is this? And then in late November of 2018, I put out this really short email that was almost cryptic to my email list, because I don't write short emails. And it said, who wants to change the virtual industry with me? And I had several responses, and the following March 17th, 2019, the AVA was launched. And it was literally a dream come true. And one of the best parts of my days are getting to celebrate with other VAs and watch them and grow with them, and see them on their journeys. We just celebrated Admin Week this past week, and we gave out prizes every day. That was awesome. And then Friday afternoon, I was on the phone with a woman who bought my book, and then she hired me for a consultation. And then she was like, I'm ready to be matched with clients. And I looked and I said, yep, you are. And I had conversations with her. And on Friday, we were on the phone speaking about one client while Sherry had a contract out with another client that I was matching her with. And while we were on the phone, the signed contract came in. It was her very first client. And I actually got to be on the phone with her and celebrate with her. It was the best feeling ever. After all these years, it still never gets old.
Yeah. So what drove her to decide to find a VA? Was she just overwhelmed? By the way, that's a beautiful story. I can definitely understand how, you could see the fruits of all that you've done. This is working. So I can commend you for that. I love that. But yeah,
Well,
so
that was actually a VA, but my clients would, are the same. And so
okay.
the clients come to me, and maybe they've already had a VA and it didn't work out, or maybe they've, read an article or read my book or, done something, and they just found me and are like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start. I'm so overwhelmed. And, aside from where do I find the right VA, they're like, they don't know where to start, because if you look at what can I delegate or what can I do, and you're Googling, maybe some of it resonates with you, but maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
And when I go through the consultations with my clients, I've had some of them tell me, wow, this is kind of like therapy. I've said some really good stuff here. Can I get a copy of this?
Yeah.
But two of the questions that I ask that are paramount: one, what would you do if you had one more hour in the day? And the second one I ask is, what have you wanted to implement in your business but you haven't? And when I ask those questions, it really gets them thinking, okay, now I really know. Because when you hire a VA, you're hiring for impact. Could you hire a VA to do all these other things? Absolutely. Sure. The possibilities are endless. But if you're saying, I do this webinar like every week, and every week it just drains me because I'm following up with guests, I have these agendas set out, I need someone to monitor the chat, like I don't feel like I'm engaging, people want the replay, I have to, do that. But what if you just hired a VA for that? They're like, oh my gosh, I would love it. Like that would be a game changer for me, because it would take this weight off my shoulders. I have clients that come to me, and by the time they come to me, they need an entire team. And it's really great to put them with all those people as well. And my clients, they tag me often, and they'll say, look what I'm doing, because it's that thing that they said, if I had an hour back in my day, this is what I'd be doing. And maybe that's the number one answer is actually sleep, but maybe it's taking that art class, or playing with their kids, or writing content is a big one. And I had another conversation last week, and he said, I would actually be on the ground with my people and see my mission come to life, because his business and his foundation is about reading and education. And then the foundation side, they bring solar panels to schools in Africa. And to see a school come into fruition and see solar panels so they can have electricity and internet so they can read. Here's someone who grew up dyslexic and is still dyslexic, and he found a way and a system that worked for him. So he's bringing all those tools to others, and watching that come to life. You can't beat that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you really help people pretty much get some of their lives back. Like they're able to implement so many different things. And sleep is big. That's some big things. I heard you mention that. So that's really cool. But I love that. I'm sure there's some folks that are watching or will watch this and say, okay, yeah, I do need some help. I'm trying to think of what, I just had a thought and it just flew. Share more about, even on the VA side, how are they able to manage clients with keeping their stress levels low, or how does that work on both sides really? Well, we kind of understand from entrepreneur side or somebody who's getting the extra help. So how do you help the VAs maintain their stress levels and make sure they're getting enough rest and proper nutrition and all that stuff?
It's really about playing to your strengths. Doing the thing that you love to do. So for instance, for me, I manage, 5 or 6 email accounts, and that doesn't stress me out at all. Checking email for me is like checking the weather. But now if, for many clients, just the thought of email and all the unread emails and all the response time and, all these, emails being in email purgatory, they can't get them back to them fast enough. That's someone not playing to their strengths. So when someone says, oh gosh, my emails are stressing me out, I can't even really comprehend. And every time that you're hiring a VA for something, that thing that stresses you out should be the thing that lights them up. So for me, Anytime someone wants to talk in spreadsheets or wants to do anything in spreadsheets, I'm like, oh, please no, please God no. And then on the other side of it, you have this person who's like, oh my gosh, spreadsheets are my biggest fan. Like, oh, look at this little thing that I did, or look at this new formula I had. And they're literally like wanting you to like watch them as they created this thing. And you're like, okay, but that's exactly what you hire for. And so in my hiring workbook, I share with people like how to write a job description to both attract the right VA and deter the wrong VA. So what most people do is the thing that they dislike, they kind of like put it down a little bit. They don't really like touch on it. They don't like really hit hard. So they will kind of gloss over it. And I'm like, no, you have to do just the opposite. That thing that you don't want to do, that thing that you're just like, this is awful. Like start with that and say, I want someone who loves spreadsheets, must love numbers, like put it out there. I have done job descriptions where it says like, must love to herd cats. Talking about like working with creatives, has to be this person, has to be a good listener, has to love doing this thing. And the job descriptions that I have, the clients are anonymous until they go through the interview process, but it's all about the work. So I attract that person's work, and it's no different than the saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. That's the match that you're going for, that yin, yang, that like, I don't have to worry about giving it to this person because by doing so, they're going to do a much better job than I would. They actually love what they're doing. And that's also how you create retention. But when people aren't matched properly or someone's not doing the thing that they should, whether you're a client or a VA, that's a quick road to burnout. And then, matching and being paired with the right clients, then you start to know like your client load, like how many clients can you have? How many hours do you work? And then I tell VAs all the time, you're their number one client. The same way a client needs a VA, you probably need a VA. And if you don't need a VA, you need something. Maybe you need a carpool, you need a house cleaner, you need a cook, you need a delivery service, you need a nanny. You need something. Because you can't do it all. Neither can your client. You're a business owner too.
Yeah, the support is huge. That plays a big role, and like you said, playing to your strengths. Because if you love what you do, you won't get burned out like that. I mean, to an extent, you still have a limited number of hours a day. But when you're able to enjoy what you're doing and the hours that you've set for yourself, it does help with a lot like stress and stuff like that. So I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I put in a lot of hours for myself and to grow my business, but I don't even consider it a sacrifice. And I don't think if I walked away, there's no one like banging on my door, like, hey, where's that stuff that, it's all for me. Yeah. I get joy and I get energy from doing that. And it all plays to, the work that I do. And I love seeing people also put in their place doing the work that they love. And it's all about staying in that. The more that we can stay in that and the more consistent days that we can put together, the more consistent days that we're like really excited about what we're doing and have joy and feel like we don't need a day off. We just need a good night's sleep. We just need to, have, get some exercise, get some fresh air and, be ready and save ourselves up for the next day.
Yeah. And what came to mind just now when you were saying that is I was doing a study on like cognitive load. Like a lot of times we're tired at the end if we don't like what we do during the day, or if we have a lot of irritation during the day, like at the end of the day, you're like super exhausted and you don't know why. And it's just because all of the irritated thoughts that you had going on and just especially if you're like working your job just to pay bills or make ends meet instead of doing like what you enjoy doing, and it can just be really draining. So I can see how matching people to their strengths is a really key aspect of wellness, even though we don't really think about wellness in that way. Typically, it's not talked about like that enough.
Yeah, I was funny when I was a kid, we would go on these long road trips and my parents would always be so tired at the end. I'm like, how can driving make you tired? I don't understand that. And then as an adult, I'm like, oh, I know. Now I know. It doesn't have to be hard for it to, be difficult and exhaust you. And in fact, when you don't have that good challenge for the day, like start to wonder, like, why am I doing this? Like, this is kind of just monotonous. You have to have that balance of this is my zone, this is my space, and then that good balance of what's my next challenge, what's my next goal, because we are set up that way, and we are wired that way, and so that's why, like, having, you know, measures of success can be both good and dangerous, because you won't ever reach it. And the second that you're like almost there, you actually are already setting your next goal of what you want to do. And the part that's dangerous in that is you don't celebrate all the work that you've already done. You don't acknowledge yourself. You go on to the next. But then the good part about it is that you've already set another challenge to keep yourself, like, whether it's professional development or learning or taking your mastery to the next level, or maybe you're like kind of branching off and you're going to explore, you know, a different arm of the same type of business that you're in, and you're going to, you know, the same way like a single lady develops themselves or reinvents themselves, same kind of premise. You're like, what if I went from pop to rock, or rock to country, or you know, that sort of thing. That's how we keep ourselves engaged and challenged in the right ways without being exhausted. And then the flip side of that, and I've experienced this a lot, is when I have all of these things in my head that I want to say or want to do, but I don't have the time to do them, so I can't sleep because my mind's just replaying them over and over. And then I know, okay, I need to make a change. I need to have some help. I need to hire, whether it be for ongoing or for project, so I have time to get these things out of my head so I can sleep.
I hear that a lot from people that I start to work with. They like, the sleep is a big thing. Like, their minds won't hush, and so that's an interesting perspective on it, because they're always like, how can I, and do it themselves, and they don't consider necessarily hiring out or delegating and using what the resources that, like, you guys provide for them. So that is a big thing to definitely address and talk about. So I'm hoping whoever hears this, like, maybe I should reach out to Melissa.
And, you know, the thing about it, one of the main reasons why we wanted to do the ABA and make sure that we have clients as members as well, is because, you know, it can be costly to work with me. And my mission is to make sure that everyone who wants to hire a VA has an opportunity to do so. So in my workbook, I give everything away. Like, I leave nothing to chance. You have my exact process. But it also doesn't make sense to hire me if you're not looking for a long-term VA. If you're looking for just like someone to do a project, or, you know, someone to be able to, you know, cover customer service during your busy season or something like that. And the ABA is perfect for that, because what most people don't understand is you don't have to hire a VA long term. So let's just say you are starting out and you're doing a project. You want to create a lead magnet, or you want to update something on your website. You want to set something up, and maybe you've spent hours trying to learn it on YouTube, or following tutorial videos, or reading up on it. You could actually just hire that out as a project and save yourself a ton of time, and then work on content or clients or whatever it is that you know, feel like it's a better use of your time, your zone of genius, if you will, while the VA is working on that. Most people also only use a VA 5 to 10 hours a week. So there's this, you know, idea in our head, oh, you know, full-time or part-time, 20 or 40. That's really an old and an antiquated model. What VAs can do, because that's what they're, you know, in their zone, they can do it so much faster than you can do it as well. So you get a lot of bang for your buck in just 5 to 10 hours a day. And, you know, flip that around. Think about if someone asks you a question, or, you know, ask you something that you know, and they're like, I spent hours, you know, researching this. And you're like, I could have told you that in 5 minutes. You know, like, you know, should have called a nurse. You know, that kind of situation. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I myself take my own medicine. I drink my own juice. I do not do things that are not a strong use of my time. I am not tech savvy. I have VAs for that. I have VAs for just about like everything, and even those things where, you know, they are my strengths. I still have a VA helping me in the event that, you know, I do get busier, or I do go on vacation, or I'm just out of pocket. You know, business still has to go on. And so now it's not an emergency type situation. It's a planned situation.
Yes, Rhonda, thank you. Someone commented. She said that makes so much sense. I agree. I was actually having a conversation with that about something like the best use of your time with a girlfriend of mine just recently, because we were talking about hiring people and things like that. And it's exhausting when you're like you said, when we're working on something that could take forever. That is not the best use of my time. I was like, I want to hire a cook, a maid, or something. Like I could be working on so many other things. So yeah, I really I appreciate that you also shared that a VA can be for projects. Like never.
Absolutely. If you're doing something and you get the same question or you're doing the same task like 3 or more times, that's a really big cue that you need a FAQ, you need a template created, you need a system. So let's say your contract process is always the same, or you're getting a lot of the same questions. Like you can hire a VA just to set you up on some kind of automated systems so that your contracts go out or your proposals go out, your contract go out. Once it's signed, they get their onboarding documents, have all that done for you. That way you're not constantly doing it. I send out the same things over and over and over again, and I have them in templates. That way they're just ready to go. So whether it's me or my VA, we have the templates set up and ready, and we just, tweak some dates, or we personalize it just, a little bit because maybe we had a conversation, but we don't create the same email over and over again. We do not create the same contract or proposal over and over again. Yeah. We have everything in templates, and that alone will save you some time. So if you're thinking, well, how would I do that? Or just hire a VA to go through and create those for you, even if you don't even have a system yet. So let's say you don't, you're not ready to spend the money on like a Dubsado or a Honeybook or, something like that. Within Outlook or within Gmail, you can have templates created and then just store them. And then you have the little points that you just fill in. But it's one of those things when you're constantly in it and you're like, this question again, create the template. Just create the template. Have someone on, retainer that you can just send it to, like, create a template for this one. I have sent this out more times. But once you hit 3, that's the thing. Like, you need to have a template and you need to have a system where it's automated.
That is such a good tip, because it's like it's one less thing you have to think about, and it gives you back your time, which is huge.
And you can put all your links in there. You can put your resources in there. Put your calendar link in there if that's what you want. Whatever information that they're giving you or asking for, make sure to give them that. But then include the follow-up resources so that they're not pinging you again for yet the next thing, because we want to help train. We want to give them what they want, but we also want to train them to where the information is, where they can find more. Yeah. And how to move on from that.
That's important, because you could also keep having to follow up on a bunch of emails. You're like, I sent this template out. That was great. I saved all this time. And now everybody's following up with a bunch of questions, other questions. So yeah, definitely having the resources in the template, I can see how that is very helpful. Awesome. Rhonda's asking, can a template be made for things like Square and PayPal, etc.? Rhonda, are you saying with like a link to Square or within the... Can you clarify on that, Rhonda, please?
If you're talking about, creating an invoice, accepting payment, I'm not super familiar with Square, but I would think it would be very rare if they did not. So I know you can create an invoice in PayPal. You can create an invoice within Stripe. You can create invoices in QuickBooks. These are platforms that want you to get paid. They want you to get money. It's easier for you. They don't always make it easy to see where it's at. So PayPal, they make their invoices a little bit clearer. But just on Friday, we had this conversation within the ABA. Someone wanted to take payment via Stripe and was thinking they had to create somewhere for it to integrate, like on a website or on a different type of page. And I said, you can create an invoice directly through Stripe and just send it to the client that way. And she said, no, I can't. And I said, yeah, click customers, because it's not intuitive. Why would it be in customers? There's no invoice yet, right? You click customers, and then it shows all these things. And then at the very end, it says create invoice. And she was like, wow, game changer. So there's a lot of different ways to make sure that you're getting paid, but you can create those templates in most of the softwares. Even Veeam, people use Veeam for more like international, and you can create customized invoices there as well, because that's the other part. People want to customize. Most of the softwares are all customizable for you as well.
Yeah. Rhonda said multiple services. Are you saying a template charging for multiple services within one template, Rhonda? She said definite game changer, so thank you.
So if you have multiple services, I would create multiple templates. And not because of any other reason, but if you give people too many options, they just don't know what to do, right? If you send an invoice, you want someone to know exactly what they're doing, because if you put your multiple services on there, they're like, oh, which one was I supposed to do? Like, which one's supposed to, like, you just want them to pay. You don't want them to think. So create separate templates for each of your services. So I have several different services that I offer, and I have templates for each one of them. One of my services is a consultation, and that one costs $250. So I actually have the payment link when people schedule time with me. So instead of like, because I have some people like, oh, I don't know yet, or it's kind of difficult. Some people are like on the phone, like, oh, I have to check my calendar. I'm like, great. Well, I'll just send you my calendar link if that's okay. You schedule when it's ready for you, and then you can pay at the time that you're booking it. And you can do that through several different calendar links, and you can integrate it. But if you don't have a calendar system, you can just send the invoice ahead of time and then collect payment, and then say, we'll set it up. Once the invoice is paid, then we'll set it up. There's a lot of different softwares out there that you can use as well. But really, we don't want to confuse the client. I know that it's super simple for us. We've had this conversation. Like, we send everything out, and then they're like, I don't know what to do. And we're like, really? You know, sometimes you're like, how did you make it this far? We don't say that. So we just like, okay, they must have a lot on their mind right now. So we just send them exactly what they're paying for. If they're buying multiple services, then just have like an add-on for them, but you don't want them to choose anything on their own. I've seen this on the flip side for VAs. So the VAs will say, choose your services. I mean, you just might as well have sent that client into purgatory forever, because they're like, but I don't know. That's why I hired you. Like, what do I do? And now they have this like list. It's like a mix and match. And they're like, well, what if I want this one? But what if I want that one? And I don't know. And can I put these together? What if I go over? I mean, just a plethora of questions. Like, you just want to tell people what to do. And in fact, people appreciate it.
Yeah. That's one less thing they have to worry about.
Yeah. I mean, when you go out to a restaurant and there's like the menu, and you're like, what do you suggest? And you ask your server, what do you suggest? And they're like, I don't know. Like, okay, like, not helpful at all. But if they tell you, oh, like, we're super known for our salmon or our nachos or, our hamburgers or our salad. If you're vegan, you would love this. It's our most, popular thing on our menu. Then, chances are that's what the person is going to order. We're driving them there based on what we know about their likes and preferences. We're not just, telling them what to do. But once we do that, it's all about making it simple for them and simplifying it for yourself. The longer it takes you to get paid and the more back and forth you have, the less profit you actually have, because now your time is spent in all that limbo time. Yeah.
Those are very, very good points. Thank you. We are actually at time. Do you have any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share with everyone?
Yes. So no matter if you're a VA, no matter if you're a client, there is someone out there who designed their business to work for someone just like you, to do the very thing that you do not want to do, no matter how big or small. Just know that person is out there, and that will make it so much easier for you to find them. And if you're a VA, no matter what service you offer, no matter how big or small, no matter how simple it is for you to do, there's a client out there that would love to throw money at that problem and pay you to do it instead of do it themselves.
Yes. big picture stress reduction for everybody. Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. It's been great chatting with you. I really appreciate your time and expertise sharing with everyone. Hope people can grab some good nuggets from this conversation. And everyone have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you, dear.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and click the little bell so you'll be reminded every time we post a new episode. I'll see you next time.